All right, it's time for our favorite podcast, Cut to the Chase. I've got a special guest on today, Bryan Aylstock. How you doing today, Bryan?
Good afternoon, Greg. Thank you for having me.
A lot of you guys and gals probably know Bryan. He is, I guess, top of the food chain in the mass tort world. Tried a bunch of these 3M cases to success. I don't know if any of you, maybe you're trial lawyers, try trying a hearing loss case. Bryan has actually explained to me how he proves hearing loss. I have no, I could not conceptualize it. But in any event, Bryan's talents go beyond just, defective drugs, defective devices, pharma stuff. Today, I'm bringing him on to discuss crypto and what his law firm is doing to help a lot of people who were out of money and were desperate because of FTX, I don't know, pig butchering, all this flavorful stuff. Bryan, are you ready to roll? The audience wants to hear how you and your law firm are going to help people recover money that they never thought they would have a chance of getting back at.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. We've been working hard on the crypto cases, and there's various scams out there to steal money from the rightful owners, the hard-earned money. In many cases, it's retirement funds and everything else that people rely upon. And they're put in these crypto exchanges being told that they are completely secure and safe. We all know crypto goes up and down, but you don't expect your crypto to be literally stolen by either the exchange itself, in the case of FTX, or a scammer or a fake exchange, in the case of pig butchering, or in the case of some of them, there's actually a hack. A third party comes in, even though the exchange says you're completely secure, hacks the exchange, steals your crypto, and you're out. And what do you do? Where do you find the criminals, many of whom, in fact, almost all of whom, are outside of the jurisdiction of the United States? And how do you ever get your money back? And we're doing our best to unlock that code. There are ways to do it, and we've been successful in doing that. Basically, finding the thieves, or if we can't find the thieves, we find the stolen crypto and get it returned to their rightful owners.
All right, so we're going to break this down. I was kind of surprised to hear that you were doing this genre, and FTX was right across the street from me. We were all so excited downtown Miami. FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, he was like the star of crypto.
He was. I think Jonah Hill, if I was casting a movie, it would be great to play him.
Yeah.
And yeah, he, obviously under criminal indictment, his trial's coming up, and we'll see what happens there.
And I just presumed that there was no shot at getting any recovery.
Well, at first that was the supposition. Of course, it all happened so fast. November of 2022, in the span of about 10 days, he went from king of the world, rubbing elbows with every politician and flying around on jets and at the most exclusive resort in the Bahamas, to basically being on the lam and under investigation and ultimately indictment. But what happened there was that he completely used the crypto that people had put in there to over leverage his company, and then it wasn't available to the depositors. It was really a function of some research that CoinDesk had done to determine that there were potential leverage concerns, and all of a sudden there's withdrawals and a run on the market, kind of like an old style run on the bank type thing, and down everything went very quickly. But we do know, after the bankruptcy filing, it's in front of Judge John Dorsey, I should say, in Delaware, that there is a lot of assets that remain. And while people, at this point don't look like they're going to get 100 cents on the dollar, there are billions of dollars that have been frozen and collected and are within the bankruptcy estate that hopefully will be distributed to the people who were harmed by the collapse of FTX.
So what is your firm doing exactly in connection with that bankruptcy matter? in Delaware?
Yeah, so there was a lot of litigation early on. Some firms were filing lawsuits against the spokespeople for FTX, everybody from Larry David to Shaquille to Otani, baseball player. And those are still there. But what we're doing is ensuring that the people who are out the money prove their claims in the bankruptcy court. And I've learned a lot about the bankruptcy court recently through 3M and Talc, where those companies had sister companies or subsidiaries declare bankruptcy. So now we know our way around the bankruptcy court, but there's something called a proof of claim, and there'll be something called a TDP, which will be the distribution plan for the money that is recovered. And there's an important deadline coming up. That's September 29, 2023. That is a proof of claim. If you do not, you may not have been lost $1 million or 100,000, but even if you lost 5, 10, 15, any money, you should file a proof of claim in the FTX bankruptcy. And you must do it by the 29th of September or you'll be out. And, you know, there is enough money to at least start to make people whole. It's similar to the Bernie Madoff situation years ago where there was a bankruptcy. Of course, that was a complete Ponzi scheme, and he went to jail for it, as he should have. But ultimately, a lot of that money was recovered and it was sent back to the rightful owners. So don't miss that deadline. They've recovered approximately $7 billion already. A lot of it was frozen by the Bahamian government, where a lot of it was, and they're chasing it, and so it's not estimates somewhere between 10-12 billion dollars could have been lost, but it's something, and I know that there's a lot of effort being made to make people as whole as can be done, and that's the goal of the bankruptcy court.
So you are representing individuals in that bankruptcy matter.
We absolutely are. That's
people
right.
can they can file the claim on their own, or they can call someone like you and have you, because you probably know how to do it, get it done right, get it done on time and all that.
That's right. And they certainly can do it on their own if they know their way around and so forth. But we'd like to help people make it easy, because there is a lot of work in proving up your claim.
Yeah, and we've known each other for over 20 years. Julie Williams, I referred you had just started your firm, Fen, and I was
That's
like, hey,
right.
with this Fen, I'm like, somebody says, oh, this guy Bryan Aylstock just started. I'm like, all right, I'll give him a shot or whatever. A couple of years later, big check. But it's interesting that over time, we've all gotten to know bankruptcy so much better. I mean, I think the last thing we wanted to ever hear, in connection with any of our lawsuits is bankruptcy. But over time, you've developed a variety of skill sets, right?
Well, this is our new one, and then crypto is also just fascinating subject in and of itself. But one of the other cases that we've been working hard on is a case involving a scheme called pig butchering. And pig butchering is a situation where somebody sets up an exchange or something to, for example, hold your crypto here, we'll pay you a dividend on what you hold, or let us do it, we can do it better. And they basically coax you into sending more and more of your crypto. Start very small, start with the little piglet, and then, everything's going great. So all of a sudden, this guy seems legit. Let's send $1 million, for example. And we have one client who sent even more than that. Yeah. Because everything, checked out as far as he could tell with this place to park the crypto. And ultimately what happened is that it was controlled by a North Korean syndicate and a Chinese syndicate, and it just was gone. The crypto literally was gone. Everything shut down. It was like that old movie, The Sting, with Robert Redford, where, virtually the same thing, where there's nothing left and all your money's gone. And that's what pig butchering is. But what's very interesting about the crypto is a lot of people don't realize that you can actually track it. You need to know what you're doing, but that crypto doesn't go away. It's not like gold where you melt it down, or doesn't have a serial number. This has a serial number. It's trackable, and we've been able to track down the stolen coin of whatever kind. A lot of times it's Bitcoin, but whatever, into another exchange. Maybe it's Coinbase or what have you. Now, Coinbase doesn't know it's stolen crypto, but it's there. And once we track that down, we've been able to take steps to get that money back for the individual. And you start with a temporary restraining order where you tell the exchange, the legitimate exchange, freeze this coin. The courts have done it for us. And then you need to serve the defendant, which is a criminal overseas that you don't even know who it is.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? Well, you can do it through an NFT, and we've had courts approve that. Actually, we've created them, we've served them. Of course, they're not going to show up because they're criminals, and then you get the order so that you can return the coin to the rightful owner. It's a complicated process, but that's something that we feel very good about, because literally just getting back stolen coin and helping the people who've been just so wrongfully defrauded in that. So that's kind of another category of the crypto work we've been doing.
Yeah. So how are these, North Korea, China, what could go wrong? How are they actually enticing people to give $1 million? I mean, just like sending them an email, were they sending them some fake gal or whatever to their doorsteps or whatever, and tantalizing them with this?
Starts with that. It starts with, $5-10 in crypto, and just over time developing that trust. It's some of these efforts are multi-year efforts where they're paying, sending it back and forth. I'll send it to you, you send it to me. And so it's just a trust game. And unfortunately, people are duped by it. I mean, if you look at it, it looks legitimate and has, real website, real, it looks real.
Yeah.
But then it's just gone. And it's several steps, but first you got to find it. Of course,
Yeah.
if it's not online, you may not be able to find it, or maybe it might show up, a year or two later. It never really goes away. Is the interesting thing about the coin.
Yeah. Now I'm amazed that these thieves would not just put it on their little private wallet and get it away from the Coinbases of the world. That's to me the most surprising.
Well, some do, but others want to put it on there to convert it and sell it, and then it just gets sold and resold.
Yeah.
And it's a way for them to launder it. So one of the keys to those cases, if anybody who's a victim of it, is to get to somebody who knows what they're doing quickly, because you don't want it sold 15 times over. You need to get it as quickly as possible, because they have to, in order to they want the cash, not the coin, and they've got to put it somewhere to sell it and convert it. So
I mean, you're calling it pig butchering. Is that what the actual operation was holding itself out as?
Yeah, it's a bit of a term of art in the crypto space for this particular scam that they're perpetrating upon us.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more of those out there. You told me there was a third that you wanted to talk about, the Storm wallet. Did I get that right?
The atomic wallet, and we've seen, everybody hears about all these data breaches. In fact, we shortly after FTX declared bankruptcy, there was a huge hack, and hundreds of millions of dollars were stolen by hackers from FTX as it was going down in flames. Well, there's another company called Atomic Wallet, and sort of its sales pitch was, look, this is completely and totally anonymous and completely and totally safe. We are not going to implement any of the know your customer type controls that a lot of exchanges do, rightfully so, because, look, if it's completely anonymous, it can really, it can be used for all sorts of nefarious things. So we're going to make this anonymous, and the way that it's safe is that only you have the key. Nobody, we don't store any passwords, we don't store any keys. You hold those. It's completely anonymous, so it's the old style Swiss bank accounts that really don't exist anymore. But you want to put money there and remain anonymous. We're your place, and it's super secure. Well, turns out it wasn't. They got hacked, and it was actually started by a Russian national who started a company in Estonia. So we represent class action individuals who are representing on behalf of others, and have filed suit in federal district court in this country to recover, hopefully, the stolen crypto. In this case, we haven't tracked where the crypto went yet, because it's probably being held in one of these other wallets out offline. But we do know that Atomic Wallet, and in particular, these Russian nationals who are living in Malta and Estonia and so forth, they've got a lot of assets. And so we've undertaken to serve them under the Hague Convention, and very much hope to represent this class and hold Atomic Wallet and its affiliates and principals accountable for their misrepresentations to everybody. It was not entirely safe as represented, and they got hacked, and the money's gone.
So when I, just listening to this right now, I'm thinking to myself, well, hey, this is a lot of thievery going on internationally, nationally. Are the authorities doing anything to try to get the money back? Do you work in concert with them on these kind of cases?
Well, we certainly are in contact with them. The problem is just it's everywhere. So limited resources from authorities. You've also got, multiple, this crypto is all over the world. So it's in Estonia, it's in Malta, it's in North Korea. So it's very difficult. But we have worked cooperatively with the authorities. And one of these days, one of these criminals might show up when they're served with an NFT and try to defend themselves, and that'll be interesting. But it's a problem out there. Everybody needs to be very careful and diligent with, if you're involved in crypto, making sure that wherever you place it is secure and so forth. But it's hard to know. I mean,
Yeah.
FTX was the third largest exchange in the world.
Yeah.
As of October 31st, 2022, nobody had any idea that they had this problem, except maybe internally. And then all of a sudden, 10 days later, the world comes crashing down. So it's unfortunate, but we're working hard to achieve justice where we can, and chase down the criminals where we know where they're at.
Yeah, well, the promise of the crypto was decentralized, no government, no third party, and we're all seeing what the downside of all this is. And what's interesting, there's a little bit of a parallel I see. A lot of times the FDA doesn't really do their job, or they turn a blind eye, and the lawyers like yourself have to get involved to get people compensated. But you're doing it after the fact. The problems have already happened. The damage has already taken place. But the lawyers, we always get knocked around. But you know what? Maybe we end up changing patterns in the future. Maybe we make the cars safer, or not make them safer, but force the manufacturers to make them safer. Maybe we
no doubt we've done that.
maybe we force the pharma industry to be a little bit more cognizant of, incident reports that they get showing that their drug is killing somebody. Hey, we can't just shuffle this under the carpet. And now it looks like you're actually doing, I mean, there's no regulators here, right?
Zero.
And you're like the regulator. You're the chief regulator.
Well, unfortunately, it's like you said, it's after the fact, and we're really picking up the pieces. But we're doing the best we can, and I think we are serving a very important role for deterrence and hopefully informing people along the way of the bad things that can happen, and to be very careful so that this doesn't happen to them. I mean, ultimately, that's the goal, right? We have, as the trial bar, we've made cars safer. I know we've made drugs safer. We're doing the Lord's work, and I'm very proud of what we do.
And you guys are amazing. I got to say that. All right. So last question before I set you free. All right. Is when you say NFT, I mean, service by NFT, I'm still trying to figure out what you mean. When you say NFT, like non-fungible token?
Yes, we've minted our own tokens.
Yeah.
And serve them through the exchange to the owner of the coin. And that has been determined. This is cutting edge law.
Yeah.
Didn't exist a few years ago. So it's these people, you don't even know who they are, but you know where they are because they've got the crypto there. We have actually minted our own tokens and effectuated service in federal court through them, because we do have some federal judges that understand the importance of this. And ultimately, look, they got notice of it. They can show up if they want. I wish they would. I wish they would, but they won't, because they're criminals and would rather hide behind a computer screen in China or somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. All right, so I don't want to flood your law firm with phone calls, but if others out here have gotten victimized by some crypto scheme, should they call you guys up and tell you what happened?
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. We've got a whole crypto department now, and would love to have the opportunity to talk with folks. And if we think we can help them, we'd love to.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on and talking about this. This is Bryan Aylstock. I mean, I never in my life would have thought that Bryan would be in the crypto world. And yet here he is on Cut to the Chase, letting us all know how he's gonna help all. Oh boy, there's a lot of people out there that are out of money. I feel bad. The promise of crypto is really a tricky promise, I guess, right?
Yeah, be careful. Be careful.
All right, that'll do it for this episode of Cut to the Chase. I'm going to drop in my show notes Bryan's information. Bryan, what's the best way to get in touch with your law firm?
So my law firm is Aylstock, Witkin, Crease, and Overholtz, and the phone number is 850-202-1010.
Is there anybody at the firm that is in charge of the crypto?
Daniel Thornburg, my law partner. I'm taking credit on this podcast for a lot of the creative thinking he did. So I'll give him the credit, but he can also assist, and would love to hear from you.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks. And that'll do it for this episode, folks.